they were blogging online and kind of, fantasy casting all of the characters who showed up throughout the books. And I think this was right after season 1 ended. So, only really vampires and shapeshifters had been, had shown up. And they were blogging about, this werewolf that shows up in book 3, and I thought, wow, there's werewolves in this? This is great. I love werewolves. And they were posting pictures of me saying that I should play him when he shows up. And so I got the books, and I read up on, and I read the first scene where Sookie opens the door, and it says she looks up and has to look up again. And there's this giant, dark-haired, olive-skinned guy whose biceps were the size of boulders, and she can do pull-ups on. And he worked at a construction company, and I'm like, I used to work construction. So it was really interesting, to me to read that description and go, man, maybe this could happen. And so I started bugging my managers and agents, and I got in there, and from what I understand, they brought me in to read for Coot first because he was the first werewolf that was being cast, and I guess I came in and read for Coot, and the way I understand it, I walked out of the room and Alan said, I think that's Alcide. So they stuck my picture up on the wall, and there it sat for the next 2 weeks. And once they had the script for episode 3 done, they brought me in to read for it, and they gave me the part that day. So it really felt like the books found me, and I found the show. It really felt like we kind of met each other in the middle. So, and I'm constantly, I just want to say something. I'm constantly amazed when I go back into the books and dig in, because somebody brought to my attention, there was a blog that wrote that Alcide is actually a derivative of the name Hercules, of Heracles or Hercules, if you go back to Greek. And then he had this, she knew that. I mean, divine inspiration, whatever you want to call it, because, there are parallels to that in the way that you play, I would play the character in season 3, because Alcide really felt like being a werewolf was a curse, and Hercules was cursed. He was also forced to carry out these tasks. Alcide shows up, has to carry out a task. He has the bodyguard for Sookie, so.
Oh, I planned all that.
Pretty deep.
Joe, what I think is interesting is Alcide is such a physical guy. You very well could have gone into professional sports, but you chose acting instead. What is it about acting that fulfills you in a way that sports didn't?
My dad was not happy about that. You grew up in Western Pennsylvania and you're 6'5", 220 in high school. You can run, throw, dunk, catch. Being sensitive and being an artist. That's not okay. Yeah, go Steelers. I always jokingly say that, my father really wanted me to be an athlete, and I always jokingly say if he would have pushed me into ballet, I'd probably be the quarterback of the Steelers right now. But I don't know, there was just something in me from the time I was a kid. Funny enough, at the time I was a kid, I was obsessed. I would draw and paint monsters, like all day, and read Stephen King books, and, and even Dean Koontz, Watchers, like the half man, half dog. I mean, I was obsessed with these books to the point where my dad took them away and hid them. And the story goes, it's funny, I used to go to church every morning because I heard the nuns would say if you pray with all your heart, God will answer you. And so I would go to church every morning as this little kid at 6 in the morning, and I would pray that God would turn me into a werewolf. I became very disillusioned with the church. For years, this went on. I was like a total nihilist and just, And then, of course, I get this part, and people say, yo, what happened right after you got the part? I was like, I hit my knees and was like, all right, I get it. There was always something like that in me.
That's like the most concrete proof I've ever heard that there's a God. You know what I mean? He's like, please, God, turn me into a werewolf. I mean, is that like that? Unbelievable.
some audience questions.